just wanna make you laugh. I just wanna see that smile. Baby, we're only here for a little while. I just wanna hold you till we fall asleep. I want love, I want us, I want you, I want me, I want peace.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Morning Coffee with your host Rick Alexander. Intro music as always submitted by Brittany Taylor. If you guys could, head over to Barbell Brittany on Instagram and show her some love. She's always recording new intro tracks for us to keep these things fresh and exciting. And I know she would appreciate it if you went over there and told her exactly how much you appreciate it. Plus, it tricks y'all into thinking you have a good voice for the show, which of course you don't. You suck with me. But if you are digging the show, please share that on Instagram as well so that we can draw attention to it, get other people to listen to it, and also so that I know you guys are digging it. I love to reach out and connect with y'all and see kind of the journey that you're on and what you guys are going through. And hopefully that helps me to tailor this content a little bit more to your own journey. It's interesting, we're trying to get this morning coffee message out there, and it seems to be a lot about just sort of figuring out who you are in the world and trying to navigate it and find out what you want and what your passions are. And that's the journey that I've been on over the last few years. As I've started figuring that out, I think I actually have a very good idea about that now. I'm sort of reflecting on a lot of those lessons and putting them into the world. And so it's really cool to share those and see them resonating with other people. Today I wanted to talk about something seemingly simple, motivation. We live in this sort of weird bullshit motivational culture where people are really content to post an inspirational 1-minute video on Instagram or a meme that says just fucking do it. And I'm sort of burned out by the whole thing. And I think the reason is because I'm realizing that a gap still exists for most people between who they are and who they really want to be. And if this motivational culture works, which has been really prevalent in the last 5 to 7 years, if it actually worked, I think that it would be sort of working itself out of a job because all of these people would actually be a lot closer to where they want to be. We'd see a really big trend upward. And I think we are on the kind of precipice of a consciousness revolution where people are sort of opening up their minds to different ideas and different things and realizing they're becoming more self-aware and like, well, wait a minute, maybe I don't want what my parents wanted for me as a life, or maybe I do want to try to build this thing or go after this thing that's really great. Now, the problem is when you go after this thing that's really great, it requires work, and I mean repetitions, right? It requires time being put in, day out. And the reason I think this motivational culture is falling short is because it provides such a short temporary spike in motivation, and so it's not long-lived enough to get you through all of the reps that you need to get through in order to get where you really need to be. Now, what I want to do is I want to sort of introduce a counterintuitive approach to motivation that has worked for me over the course of the last few years. And that is, what I do is I play out all of the scenarios on who I'm going to be if I don't do all of the things that I know that I need to be doing. And so what I want to do is I want to offer a counterintuitive approach to motivation. What I do over the last few years, what's really started to work for me is I play out all of the scenarios. I think about who I'm going to be if I don't do all of the things that I know that I really need to do. It's really prevalent today. One of the things you heard recited a lot is when it gets really tough, remember why you started. And it's like, well, you fucking know why you started, but it's tough now. And so it might be a little like spike in motivation, but I just don't think it's really enough. Like when I put over 1,000 kids through a special forces selection program over the course of 4 years, people would ask me, what is it that made people quit the most? What made people quit the most is the grind. It's getting up at 5 a.m. after you went to bed at midnight and you're on sore legs, sore muscles, joints hurt, you're reopening scabs, you're chafing and starting to reopening, and you know you're going to go through your entire day and you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to do the entire thing tomorrow. It's the grind. It's the reps. You know why you started. You know you wanted to be a SEAL or a SWIC or whatever the fuck it is you're going for. But that's not enough when the grind sets in. And so what I constantly do is I remind myself, if I don't do all of the things that I know that I need to do, who am I going to be if I play that scenario out down the road? And a lot of times these are seemingly inconsequential things, right? And so it's things like food prep. If I don't food prep on Sunday, intuitively, I know exactly how I need to eat. I know that how I need to eat so I can feel better, look better, sleep better. And I also know I have a tendency to eat kind of like a piece of shit sometimes. And the problem is that if I do that for a couple days, I can get away with it. But then if 3, 4, 5 days goes by and maybe I'm not training as much as I should and I'm not doing the things I know I need to, well, now it's really easy to play that scenario out. Is this the person you want to be? I know when I look in the mirror, I know the person that I want looking back at me. And I also know that if I continue down this road, I'm not going to be that person for very much longer. And so sometimes it can be really beneficial for us to think about all of the things we know we need to do. See, because I think you know as well. You might not know exactly who you want to be in the world or exactly what you want to do for a career, but you do know the things that you need to be doing. You do know the things that are going to get you closer, right? You know you want to be fit and healthy. You know you probably have some sort of athletic goal that you need to work toward. You know maybe you don't like your job, so one of the meaningful things that you really need to do is get your CV or your resume ready. All of these little things that we don't do, we put off and we put off and we push off, and then over a long period of time, they snowball. And then these seemingly insignificant things become a really big deal down the road, because then we get a job offer that might get us closer to the life we really want, but we're not ready because we don't have our resume ready. Or we weren't saving. Saving's a really good one, right? Like for the longest time, I wanted to leave my job, but I kept blowing all my fucking money, man. And so then I wasn't ready. Like when the time came, I literally was not ready to get out and to do something else, or to even have the freedom to think about what else I wanted to do. And so just because you don't know exactly what you want to do next, or maybe you haven't quite found your passion yet, that's something I hear a lot. Well, that's okay, but you do know all of the little things you need to do. And you also know who you're going to be if you don't do all of those little things. So I would implore you today to maybe begin thinking about motivation in a different way. And I'm active on Instagram. I think that social media is where the relevant conversations are taking place these days. And so I'm, pretty apt to be on there and to be active on there. I'm always constantly trying to think of new ways to frame things. In a lot of ways, that's what this show is. But listen, it's always the reps. It's always the overnight success that worked for 10 years behind the scenes in order to get there before you ever heard of them. And so it's always the person that's able to take care of all of the little things, that's constantly day in and day out getting the reps, doing the things that they know that they need to do. So again, I would employ you today to think about what your life's going to look like if you don't do all of the things that you know you need to do. Who is that person going to be? And hopefully you come up with some answers, because I think deep down we all sort of put off some of the things that they just seem small at the time, even though we know we should be doing them. And I think a lot of times that is our way to start orienting ourselves in the world to a better projection, to get closer to what we might want to get to. And so hopefully this helps you guys, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow on Morning Coffee.